By the time I upload this video, the balance patch has already dropped, but for over a month now it's been foreshadowed by the balance preview, which for your convenience I've read through and analyzed for this video. The reason why I'm rushing this before the actual patch releases is because Winter Championship is going to be in 9 days from now. That's very little time to practice, and I think the people competing could really use a rundown like this, which is a chart of how much each weapon got buffed or nerfed in pro play. All of this is my opinion, of course. As for Legends, I'll just grade it on a spectrum like this, because it's a lot more subjective. All in all these changes aren't all too drastic. And then there's Tezca. I want you to trust me on one thing though. Tezca and Battle Boots will still be the most broken legend and weapon, even post-nerf. I'll explain why later, but just, if you're gonna take one thing out of this video, is that he'll still be busted. Let's get started with Hammer. Sidelight gets 1 more frame of stun, which makes Downlight, Sidelight, and Light true till 60 damage at 9 dex. Sider gets 3 more frames of stun, a bit of knockback buff, and a more vertical angle, which at 9 dex lets you combo Sair into Downlight until 40 damage. So this will be true with Custody. Also, the hitbox near the rear is getting slightly buffed. Nair is gonna let you have more air control in the startup and active frames. No clue how much they're buffing it, but it could be both a very big deal or the most insignificant thing. Axe Cider on miss is 1 frame faster. Neat. Nair also gets 1 more frame of stun, and it's a big deal. This means that you can hit a Sidelight, Nair, Downlight, True on a platform map. This is a really big buff. As for Greatsword, it's only getting 1 buff, but it's a big deal. All Endlight finishers will have a more vertical angle, making it kill earlier as well as increased knockback. The reason why this is a big deal is because Endlight finishers can never be jumped out of or fast falled out of, while others in some cases can. This makes the weapon consistently kill off of any read. Endlight is even less punishable now, cutting 1 frame off recovery and miss. Sidelight is also getting 1 frame cut off at the end. Not as big of a deal as an Endlight, but still really beneficial. Orb is an interesting case, because both Nair and Sair are getting an extra frame of end lag on miss, but Nair is getting an additional 2 frames of stun on hit. So you might wonder why I count it as a buff. Because it makes Nair recovery always consistent off a read. Previously, depending on where you hit the move, especially at higher damages, your opponent could have just gotten out of the punish string with either a jump or fast fall. Now, even with just the tip of the move, this should secure a hit, or even a gravity cancel Downlight. Katars have a similar case. Endlight and Downlight have an extra frame of end lag on miss, but Sidelight gets 2 frames cut off at the end. Even though frames-wise this cancels itself out, I believe that Sidelight, which overall is a longer lasting move, suffers way more. Cutting a frame off from already fast moves is more impactful than a frame off a slower move. Blaster's Downlight is getting its hitbox nerfed near the player. This should make gravity cancel Downlights hard to hit, though I have no clue how big the difference is, so Sidelight on Sword is getting reduced damage from 17 to 15, and the top hitbox is gonna get cut off to some extent. If it's a major hitbox change, then it's a big deal, but I'm not sure how they'll tackle it. Downer is getting buffed though, getting an extra stun frame, which should make Downlight their recovery easier. Hi, this is Voiceover Burb, and I'm here to tell you that I'm entirely wrong about this. Downlight their recovery is like 8, 5, 7 frames from being true, so a single stun frame is completely meaningless. It's not even a buff. Scythe Nair is getting 2 extra frames on miss, and Cider is getting its damage reduced from 15 to 13. It's simple, but it's a pretty big nerf. Spear. Downlight's damage is reduced from 13 to 11, and Cider from 18 to 17. Nair is getting its hitbox nerfed around the edges. No clue how big this change is gonna be. I assume it will be very impactful though, even if it's just a tiny bit smaller. Both Sidelight's damage is reduced from 16 to 14. Nair is also getting its hitbox nerfed, and God bless, because that move in its current state is a magnet. As a bonus, the movement allowed during the move is going to be reduced, so you can punish it more easily. Also, recovery is getting its knockback nerfed. Cider and Downer on Lance got butchered. Both have 2 extra frames of recovery added, as well as Lance Cider will no longer let the player control their momentum and end lag as much, meaning that this shouldn't be as busted. As for the Gauntlet's neutral light, its damage is getting nerfed from 15 to 13, and the knockback angle is now more diagonal, so it will kill later. I'm not sure how big the change is, but this could also lead to neutral light dare being a new dodge read punish. Sidelight is getting 3 more frames of end lag slapped right on it. This change is long overdue, but it's here now and it's a huge nerf. Cider is now 1 frame faster at startup, but 1 frame slower at end lag, so the move is just as punishable, just quicker to come out. And finally, Battle Boots. Where do I even begin? Sidelight can now be DI'd out of properly because the move could have been just looped over and over. It doesn't really matter in high level play except for some degenerate cases of stalling for timeout, but it doesn't matter. What does matter is that Endlight is getting a +1 startup frame from 5 to 6. This is a heavy nerf and I'll come back to it at the end. Downlight is getting 1 more frame of end lag and a bug fix. As of the current patch, Downlight consistently drops when hit over head stacked. This is now going to get fixed. Think of it as a hitbox increase. Recovery is getting its knockback somewhat nerfed, and ground pound is getting its hitbox nerfed. But it's written in a really confusing way. It says, reduced threat coverage at the rear and bottom during the held charge. This either means the sweep is getting nerfed near the rear, and the charge hitbox is getting nerfed near the bottom. Or, the charge hitbox is getting nerfed near the rear and bottom, and the sweep will be left unchanged. And finally, I'm here to invite everyone to celebrate because Cider is getting killed in cold blood, as well as gets a hidden buff. For starters, active input Cider is going to be 3 frames shorter, reducing the total distance traveled. This version of the move will also have its fixed knockback reduced, as well as its stun reduced by 2 frames. Meanwhile, the kick version is getting its knockback slightly reduced. So, I know it's a lot, but here's the consequences of these nerfs. Cider Endlight is no longer true, both kinds. Cider Downlight is no longer true. Aerial Dare Endlight is no longer true. Sidelight with active input won't kill as easily. And Wake Up Endlight will be beaten out to way more instead of clashing due to the extra frame. The hits are dead. Downlight, Cider, Endlight, dead. Downlight, Dare, Endlight, doesn't work either. Well, that didn't stop me, because I found a new free hit. If you've been following my Twitter, you might have already seen this. Downlight, reverse snare, jump, gravity cancel, Endlight. I won't be teaching you how to do this in this video, because that's not what it's about, but if enough people struggle with it, I'll make sure to explain on my Twitter when necessary, or maybe make a short about it, I don't know. Another thing is, at certain damage ranges, Cider, Sidelight is still going to be true, which means that the boring Downlight, Cider, Sidelight true combo will still be present, just less. Now, what nobody seems to notice is that making Cider deal less fixed knockback is actually a buff. Previously, both Cider versions sent the enemy at a similar distance at the high damage range. However, now, Cider is going to be the ultimate pressure tool on stage, keeping your opponent close and personal for strings to rack up damage. And all of this is while keeping the kill potential, because Cider, the non-active version with the kick, is still often the better kill option. Sure, it'll be slightly harder to sneak in a 0 to death, and it's a nerf, but it's not as big as people might think. Boots will stay busted. And now for Legends, and honestly, I don't feel like going over this stuff. I'm just gonna mention the most important things. Thatch will be able to downlight Enzig without dex stance, even on minus dex, and God bless, cause his dex stance sucks. Magyar is getting buffed in every way, Kaya is getting nerfed in every way, and Tezca is getting his 6 butchered, chewed and spat out in a ditch. And that's the patch. I'll have it linked in the pinned comment so you can read more about the legend changes in case you care. And finally, thanks for sticking by till the end, and good luck in the Winter Championship, everyone.